Alright y'all, I'm going to try something a little different. I've never shot one of these videos, but this is a pet peeve of mine on auto repairs. And before I get started in all this, I don't want to offend any mechanics out there or anything. I know you're out there making a living and there's plenty of really honest, good mechanics out there. But have you ever had that where you had a little something wrong with your vehicle, you didn't know what it was, you got an estimate on it, and you're just like in shock when you get the estimate? You know, that's, I guess I'll have to live with it because I can't pay for it, kind of thing. Or you ever felt like you got ripped off on a job? Well, so mine, my Explorer has been riding real rough. It's had every bump you hit, it rattles and it jars the front end. I knew something wasn't right, so I got under there and got to looking, and sure enough, my swaybar links, the bushings had all deteriorated and were gone. The estimate on it was almost 600 bucks. And I thought, that's ridiculous. So I'm going to figure out how to do it myself. I got pretty decent mechanical ability, so I thought, well, hell, I'll give it a shot and see. By the way, I checked with O'Reilly, and they had the parts in stock for $45. So yeah, almost a $600 estimate on it, and they had the parts for 45 bucks. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this one myself. So here goes. In just a minute, I'll get started on my process. I'm not real good at editing videos and stuff like that, but right here, I've already loosened the lug nuts. I've already jacked up the vehicle. If you do this, make sure when you jack up the vehicle, you also reinforce the safety aspect of it with a jack stand under the frame. The jack, look for your vehicle specific jack points, where to put the jack when you jack it up. I didn't use any power tools on this job. You can see I've just got a regular 4-way for the lug nuts on the wheel. So the first thing you do before you jack the vehicle up is you break these lug nuts loose. For people that don't know a whole lot about mechanics, just like changing a spare tire, you have to break the lug nuts loose before you get the wheel off the ground. So I broke those loose, jacked it up, got the support under there with the extra jack stand. I've got another one up under there too. And then we'll move along here in just a second. All right, I got the wheel off over there, and I'm gonna get underneath here. And since I don't have the whole front end lifted up on it, I'm just doing one side at a time. I can't turn this hub to where I can get at it better, but I noticed from the other side that these are real easy to do. I'm not gonna bother with jacking up the whole front end because they're real easy to get at. Without having to turn that. It would make life easier if you had the whole front end off the ground and then you just turn this away from you. But anyway, so what we're looking for right here. So this is a sway bar link. And I think I said at the beginning of the video, tie rod ends. I don't know why I was saying that, just because I'm under here with tie rods under here and everything else. And this is about the sway bar linkage right here. The sway bar is this thing, see, it runs underneath, it goes from one wheel to the other, and it helps your vehicle stick to the road and handling wise when you're driving and steering and things like that. And this linkage is connected to the different parts of the steering, blah blah blah. Anyway, if you want to know how all that stuff works, you can YouTube it. But see how loose that is? This is supposed to have rubber bushings in it. Top, bottom, inside, and bottom down here, they're completely gone over time. So just a little note about this 2006 Ford Explorer has 165,000 miles on it, and these are original. That would explain why they're gone. So again, only having 2 hands here and needing at least 3, 4 would be better since I'm filming this. All this takes is basically 2 tools. I've got a number 17 socket for the bottom of the bolt down here, and then a 15 for this nut on the top. You have to hold this nut in place while you loosen the number 17 at the bottom down here. Anyway, because this is one solid bolt that runs all the way through this, from the top to the bottom, and then it's got the rubber bushings that'll go in between right here. But anyway, I'm gonna have to pause while I crank on this, because you have to hold it. It takes 2 hands to do it. All right, got the old one off of there. Very, very rusty, as you can see. Let me get it in the sunlight a little bit. I think that needed to be replaced. Yeah, like I said, there's one bushing left on it right there. That's the only one left, and they're supposed to be in the new kit. And from the factory, there was supposed to be 4 bushings on there. So 1 bushing left there. Well, actually, there's the second bushing stuck in the top right there, but there's still 2 bushings that are completely missing, that are completely gone. The new kit is pretty simple. What I'll do here is you start with a washer. Sorry about that. You start with a washer there, then one of the bushings, and it'll go, you can tell when you're doing it, you can tell which way, which end is up and which way is down, but it comes with instructions too. So those 2 will go over that, and then I'm going to feed that up into the bottom right there, and then I'll put another washer and another bushing, then the steel shaft cover, and then another bushing and another washer, and then on top another bushing and another washer. And then I'll crank all this stuff down to specifications, which it shows you how far to compress, in the instructions, how far to compress those bushings to where they ride right, so that way when you get everything put back together and you're going down the road, you still don't have some vibration in there, and it would cause some, if you had like a popping noise under there or something, that means you didn't tighten them down enough. So I'm going to put this on, be right back. Alright, brand new one in place. There it is, and it tells you how much to torque it and compress those bushings there. Underneath there, that's where the bolt feeds through, and you turn to tighten it. Anyway, so like I said, about an hour job, 45 bucks, and they quoted 600 bucks. Anyway, I'm gonna go put this wheel back on and take her for a test drive. So another thing real quick, just in case you're not real familiar with changing a tire or anything, when you put the wheel back on, while it's still raised up, you want to just snug those, you'll just snug those lug nuts up. Don't tighten them all the way. Snug them up good, and then lower the jack, and then you're going to take your 4-way and torque those down. I think it's about 100 foot-pounds. I've got a torque wrench in there. I'm going to look at, make sure I've done both of them right on that. But when you tighten those down, you do it in a cross pattern. So instead of tightening your lug nuts, anytime you change the tire or anything like that, you don't tighten them down like going around in a circle. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You do them in a cross pattern. You'll do, it doesn't matter which order, as long as you cross them. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So you'll cross them like that as you snug them down, and then go back through that again and torque them to specs. If you're on the side of the road or something, don't be a he-man or he-woman and crank too far down on them and break your studs off your wheel. But you do want to snug them to where you're, I don't know, this layman's terms I guess, where you're grunting a little bit, just a little, to get them tight at the very last, until you can get it somewhere and get them torqued right. So anyway, test drive time. Well, the test drive was perfect. Rides like a new car. You wouldn't believe what a difference in the feel and the steering and the bumps and jolts and everything that all those bushings make when they're gone. Those new ones in there, seriously, it rides quiet, smooth, steers great. All that for $45 parts. Took me an hour, saved 555 bucks, if my math is right on that, doing it myself. And this is all it took. My floor jack, a jack stand, and I used another bottle jack just for a little extra security. A 4-way, 1 socket, and 1 wrench. That was it. Save 555 bucks doing that myself. Oh, and you got to have your partner with you when you're working on a car. Gunner, you want that ball? Pass on. You want that ball? Right here. Y'all have fun. Well, now that the job's done, just to add one more thing, I've gone back and looked at some of this video before I'm going to post it, and yes, I know some of it was blurry, and you're probably like, why is he not focusing the camera? Well, because one, I didn't have my readers on where I could see the camera screen, and two, I was down there working on the vehicle and up under there, had the rubber gloves on and everything else, so I apologize. It's my first one. Next time maybe I'll get a little better at it. Hope it helps somebody. By the way, those were the swaybar links. The tie rods I checked while I was under there, they seem to be in good shape, but if I did have to have those, that would just only be about another 50 bucks to do both sides, and not much more difficult than this. This was about an hour for me to do total. That's getting my tools out and getting everything back together from start to finish to hit the road, about an hour total, and $45. So don't be intimidated by these things, and always get a second estimate. Don't just take the shop's word for it. I don't care how long you've used them or anything else. Some things are way overinflated, and I said earlier, mechanics have to make a living too, but you need to be honest about it. Y'all have a good one.